In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the auto default, and later we're going to use the auto connection and auto default together. First, we have to create the parameters and save those parameters in the attributes, and those attributes we're going to use in our auto default settings. This is how to set up our parameters and save to attributes. Okay, so let's start adding the connection here. I'll start with this rafter, and I'll type here apex and then apex hunch. So all I have to do is of course open the system component here, and then pick the main part and the secondary part. So either of the two can be main part and secondary part, and this is the apex. So what I did here is I just used the default setup of this apex, but of course I can change that one and then save it for my settings. Okay, so let's say the part I will end plate, I will just choose 20 and then modify. Okay, and then the hunch profile is okay. The parameters, this one should be okay. General, I can just simply change the general to 6. So everything will be yellow. So all my connection will be yellow color, so that we can easily identify that this is the attributes that we use, that we're going to use later. Okay, so for the bolt, let's say I'll just use the 8325N, and then the bolt size, or maybe I'll just use the 8.8x, and then let's say 20, tolerance is 2, and then modify. Okay, then I'll just choose this one 3. Okay, maybe 4, 120, modify. Okay, so you need to set up this connection, and then I'm going to save this one as YT Apex 1 and save as. Okay, so this one will be in my attributes now, this YT Apex 1, so that's 1. Okay, and then let's say here I can use the hunch connection, or number 40. This one is simply pick the column and pick the rafter. Then I have this hunch connection, so I can modify this one accordingly. So let's say for my parameters, the end plate will be, let's say 20, modify, and then the this stiffener, I don't want any stiffener. Okay, and then for the bolt, I'll just use again the 8.8 XOX 20, modify, and then let's say this one will be, let's say 150. Okay, moves 20. All right, and for the general, I can again change this one to 6 and modify. Okay, so again, I have now these settings for my rafter, and then I can say this one is YT underscore hunch 1. Okay, save as. Okay, now I have this connection for my column and rafter to rafter connection. And then let's move on to the other connection. Let's say again another column to beam, but this time this one is a girder. Then I can choose let's say a clip angle connection here. So I can type here 141. So for my clip angle, just simply double click again. Alright, so here just simply pick the column and then the this beam or this girder. So in this case, I can just simply change the let's say the part 100 by 100 by 8, that's fine. Then I change this one to 6, modify, and then for the parts, sorry, for the bolts, now I can change the bolt standard to 80x, and then again 20. And then this time I'll put here maybe 4, modify. Okay, so that maybe that's too much. Just put 3 and modify. Okay, so this one is for my clip angle connection. Alright, so I'll just type here YT underscore clip angle and then save. Okay, so I have now my connection to the column and raptor to raptor, and then raptor to girder. This time I have the connection, another connection for between the column and then the beam. But in this time, this one is connected to the web. And as you notice, I have a different size of a beam here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the connection for a particular size, and I'm going to save that one again to my attributes, and then that attributes we're going to call that one later when we create again, when we set up our auto default, or when we create our auto default. So I will just choose here 187, which is the column with steepener. Okay, again open this. So let us pick the column and then the beam. Okay, at this time, as you can see, this is the default setup, but I'm going to change this one now. So steepener, I don't want the steepener on far side, so I'll just put this one as 0 and then 0 far side, modify. Okay, so I don't have any steepener on the far side. And then the plates, let's say I'll type plate 12, modify. And then here, the chamfer, I'll make it, I'll make this one as a round chamfer or fillet. Okay, and then for the bolt, I'll just again change this one, this bolt standard, and change it to 20, modify. And then here, only one column of bolt. And then since this one is UB 300, okay, 300 depth. So let's say my first down hole is 80, modify. And then here, 300, I'll just choose here 3 into 70. Okay, so I'm okay with this one. All I have to do is to change the general to 6 and then modify. So now, this connection should work only on this size of the beam. Okay, so the 300 depth. All I have to do is to save this one into YT underscore shear underscore 300. Okay, save as. Now that I saved this YT shear 300, so I can now apply this one, and then I'm going to apply again this to the other size of the beam. But of course, I can change this, I can change the number of bolts here. Let's say instead of 3, I can choose 5, modify. So if this one is okay, I can save this one as shear 400, save as. Okay, and then here, pick again. So this time I'm going to change the number of bolts here to 7, modify. Okay, so that one is too much. I'll just type here 6, modify. Alright, maybe this time I'll change this one to color 2 and then save this one to shear 500. Save as. And then modify. Alright, so Now I have created all the attributes for a different member or different connection. And as I've mentioned earlier, I'm going to use that one when I use the auto default. Okay, so now that we're okay with these attributes and we saved them already, so all we have to do is to delete all this connection, and then we're going to set up now our auto connection. Okay, now that we have already saved our attributes for our auto default, so all we have to do now is to set up our auto default setting rules and then integrate this one to our auto connection. So in the previous video, you've seen how the auto connection works. So we have now the auto connection, and then we have already the setup for our auto default, meaning we have already the attributes that we can use for our auto default. So all we have to do now is to set up our auto default. So here under the auto default settings, so we have again the default setup here, but of course we can create our new rule group, and then this one is YouTube default. Okay, so this one will be our auto default settings. So under this YouTube default, so here it will show you all the different components. So remember, we uses some of the system library earlier in our auto connection, and then we need to go to that component so that we can simply set up our auto default there. Let's say the column with steepener 187. So I have now the standard 187 here, but of course we need to create additional rule set here, and then we need to create 3 rule set. Why? Because we have 3 different size. Okay, 3 different size using the 187. So the first one is edit the rule set, and this time is this one will be the 300 depth. Okay, 300D. Okay, so the first rule is this: if the primary part name is equals to column, okay, the primary part name is equals to column, which is this, and then the secondary depth, okay, the secondary one depth is equals to minimum, let's say 300 to 399. So meaning if my beam depth is from 300 to 399, then it will use this what do you call that, attributes that I set up for my 300 depth. Okay, so and then the parameter file selection in rule set, I can just simply say iterate until connection symbol is green, and then click OK. Alright, so under this 300D, so here instead of using the standard, I can now use the connection parameters, which is YT shear 300. Click OK. Alright, and then all you have to do is to repeat that procedure. Okay, so again, select this one, create additional rule set, and then edit rule set, change this one to 400D, and then primary part name is column, and then secondary depth, secondary one depth is 400 to 499. Iterate until the symbol is green, and then click OK, and then here select the 400, and then again right click, create additional rule set, and then this time it should be on the 500 depth. Same thing, primary name is column, and then the depth will be 500 to 599. Then click OK, and then select now the YT 500. Okay, so we're done with the with this column and beam to web, right? So let's look for the other connection. Let's say the clip angle. So I think we have only one clip angle connection here. So create additional rule set, and then here edit rule set. So this one is as you wish. So the primary part name is equals to column, and then maybe the secondary part name I can use the same, which is beam, and then click OK, and this time double click. By default it's standard, but of course we created our own, which is the clip angle YT or YouTube clip angle 1, and then that's it. So I have now the 141 and then the 187. Okay, after setting our column with stiffeners and clip angle connection, so let's move on to our hunch connection. So let's say we go through this number 7, and then here hunch. So again, create additional rule set, same thing. So we just repeat our procedure. If the part name and then secondary one part name is equals to column, oops, and then the secondary part name is equals to rafter, and then this one is column to rafter, and then click OK. So here we can again select now the one that we set earlier in our attributes, hunch, and then move on to our apex hunch. Same thing, create additional rule set, edit rules, and then this one is apex. So part name, secondary one part name, and then this one will be rafter, and then rafter. Alright, and then select again the attributes, apex, and then apply and OK. Alright, so now we already saved our auto default setting, and then it's time for us now to select everything and then go to the component and then create auto connection. Earlier, or in the previous video, you can we know that we have already set up our auto connection as YouTube. So there you go. So YouTube default. So earlier we used the factory default. Now we're going to use the YouTube default. So select everything, and then using the YouTube auto connection and YouTube default as auto default setting, then create connection. Okay, so this time what happened is it will go according to the auto default setting. So here, as you can see here, this one is 300 size. Then I have only 3 rows of bolt here. This one is a 400 size, or I have 5 rows. And this one is the 500 size, and then I have 6 rows of bolt. And then if you want to change the size of our beam here, let's say this beam is 305, and then we change this one to a bigger size, let's say 457. Okay, so as we can see, the connection for the 305, I have 3 rows of bolt. If I change this 457 and then modify, so automatically the number of bolt change. And vice versa, if we change this one to a smaller size, let's say a 305, and then modify, so as you can see again the changes of the bolt quantity. So using the auto connection and auto default, you can have this output. Thank you.